Tropical birds. This is beginning with the end in mind. I hope you have fun making this project. You can see it from both sides as you saw in the video here. And you get your paint palette. You're going to get your paints onto a plate and a little bit of water, your brushes, and a towel. You'll notice that I'm starting with some orange. It doesn't really matter where you start on this project, but the one thing I wanted you to notice is when I'm using orange, while my paint still is orange, I'm going to use orange somewhere else on my project, just so that it saves me some time from washing out my brush so many times during my art class today. The other thing I wanted to mention is that you can add some highlights. So one of the things that I noticed, in working with art is everybody can use orange. And so I'm adding little bits of yellow to the tops of my feet to kind of make it look like some highlights. While the paint's still wet, the yellow can blend and mix a little bit so it's not quite so bright, but it also just gives it a little bit of dimension onto my orange that I've painted for my feet. The other thing I wanted to talk to you today is about washing your paintbrush. You'll notice that my bristles have paint on it. I'm going to stir it into the paint. And once I'm done stirring it into the water, wipe your brush clean. Not just wipe it once, but really wiggle those bristles so that all the paint comes out. You might even notice that your towel has some paint on it. Good, it should. I want you to ensure that your brush is clean so that when you dip it into the next color, you get the color that you want. Okay, so I sped it up a little bit now that I know how to wash brushes, how much paint to add onto my paint palette, and I'm just going to go ahead and start painting my project. You'll notice that I'll turn my project around in different angles to make sure that I get all of those white spots completely filled in with paint where it needs paint. Now the other thing that I wanted to talk to you today and slow it down just a bit is when you're mixing your colors. I didn't have any green in my paint collection, but I know two colors that make green. Yellow and blue makes green. So I've added some yellow and blue together to make my green. Now that I've completed my project, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the base of my project. And I like to start with the lightest colors first, and I'm going to just kind of give my base kind of a tropical greeny grass look. And so I've added my green to the bottom of my base, starting with the lightest colors first. It's always easier to get darker colors on after you do your light colors, so that's why I started with my light colors first. And then I'm going to add in some darker green with my darker blue on top. I found this to be helpful and I just wanted to share that with you. Again, going back to that idea of using more than the colors straight out of the tube. Now that I'm completed with my project and I've got all the paint put onto my project, there's some add-ons that you can put on to your bird. So these are some pipe cleaners. As I take my pipe cleaners, you can bend them, you can twist them, you can turn them. I'm going to start out putting some pipe cleaners on the top of the head of my tropical bird. Once I've bent it, you can use a marker to twist or bend the pipe cleaner around. Then, once you've got that, set it aside and start manipulating the other pipe cleaners that you want to put onto your bird. Okay, so the other thing that I started thinking of is this marker gives me larger loops. So if I want tighter or smaller loops, maybe a pencil might work really well to get the loops a little bit tighter. So let's try that. Once you've got your pipe cleaners ready, come see Mrs. Foxen to start getting some hot glue so to ensure a nice solid glue to hold the pipe cleaners to your bird. I want to put that on just so that you don't burn yourself with this hot glue. And so I'll go ahead and help you put your pipe cleaners onto your bird. I'm going to let that cool a little bit before I touch it and then ensure a good solid hold. Once I've got that done, you can also add on some feathers or possibly some beads onto your project to decorate it. I looked at my feathers and I'm like, oh my gosh, these are so big. I'm going to put the longer feathers onto the tail of my project. It's kind of nice to place it there before gluing it to make sure it's where you want it to be. You could also take your scissors and cut your feathers down a little bit if they seem to be too long for this project. But I love the way this looked. I have so much fun making it, and I hope you do too. Have fun, everybody.